Well, welcome to Pre-Cal. This is Mr. Green. I'm making this recording as the first in a series of recordings about the Pre-Cal class. And you will have never seen the first recording. It was absolutely terrible. So this is a second attempt at that first recording, okay? I wanted to start out looking at the course. This is our pre-cal course right here. And I'll move it over just a little bit so you can see some of the things we're going to be talking about. In the middle here, you see some announcements. I try to keep these announcements fairly current. There'll be one for every week of the year that we'll go through. In this announcement, what you'll find is actual list of the work that you'll need to be doing this week, and then also any recordings that I'm going to have. I haven't made the recordings yet, obviously, so I haven't put them in there, but I will get them in there real quickly so that you can know what's going on. The syllabus over here is fairly accurate. It tells you all about the course and all the policies that we're using in the course to do different things, so you'll be able to read that at your leisure. Let me get that out of the way. Thank you. This calendar is correct. We're going to start this as week number 1, and we're doing lots of things this week. Do not panic. Most of it is review, so you're not going to have too much of an issue with any of it, okay? This teacher contact information is my current name, phone number, and some hours that I'll be available that you can contact me, okay? And my instant message address. So if you want to put me in your instant message and IM me, I'll be glad to respond anytime that I'm available. One popped up just a while ago. So if I'm in a recording, I do not respond to those things, but just to let you know how that works. Class Connects, you're going to see a list of Class Connects that you need to go to. This is just a how-to on how to get to them and how to get into those Class Connects so that you know what's going on. Up here at the top under Gradebook, it does list the gradebook, and I don't want to show it to you because we're not supposed to show students' grades, but there is a gradebook in there. Under Document Sharing, I will be putting a calculator in there in case you don't have one, and under the drop boxes where you will submit work for me to grade. So there's the checkups and the thing and the unit test part 2s and things like that, things that I will need to be grading for you. You will check the inbox to see when I'm sending you back. When I've sent something back to you, you'll check the outboxes when you're looking for things that you're trying to send to me. So let's get into Unit 1. In Unit 1 down here, one of the first things underneath there is raise your hand. That's where you can post questions about the course. So if you're asking, well, what is a function? Put it in raise your hand. That way we can answer the question for you. If it's some other question that's about TOPS or about any other issue that you want to know, send me an instant message or K-mail me and we'll go from there. If it's a critical one that you're wanting to know, send an instant message. We'll get that one any way we can. There's a couple things you need to know about the pre-cal course. First of all, there's a topic and a study. The topic and study and multiple studies in some situations. But what the topic and studies are, the things that the teacher would be doing with you in the classroom, where she would stand up there or he would stand up there with the whiteboard and he would try to teach you pre-cal. Well, that's exactly what they're doing right here. This is a little recording that's talking about
Jennifer
this
is a young
Jennifer,
woman with type
okay?
1
I'm going to stop
diabetes.
it because I don't want it yelling in my ear. But it's going to talk about her and a situation she's in. Well, there's
Whenever
3
she eats,
screens
you
that you'll
encounter
need to go through,
mathematical functions.
okay? And you'll just go through it and you'll listen to what they say and you'll make certain you understand it. When you go to study, there are a lot more screens under a study because they're trying to concentrate on that topic just a little bit, and then they're asking some very detailed issues about it and trying to teach you some very detailed points about that particular study they're doing, okay? And they're going to try to relate what is a function here so that you know what's going on, and mapping some things together and making certain you're understanding it. And you know, they're just different screens that they might have, including some funky music every once in a while, okay? So we'll let that music die. And just different things that are going on, okay? So what's next? A checkup. Checkup is just like your independent practice or homework that you might have. You're going to turn it into us. We're going to grade it. We're going to tell you what's right and wrong with it and give you some points associated with it. Quiz. Quiz is where you actually get the assessment. That's where you take the test and understand what's going on. Now, anytime you want to delay taking a quiz because you haven't got the checkup back and you want to make certain you understand how to do those problems, perfectly willing to let you do that. I will be putting in zeros for anything that you didn't complete the week before. But if you want to wait till Sunday before you take a quiz, you can wait all the way to Sunday, and Monday morning when I put in the zeros, you won't even have noticed that it happened, okay? I do not check those as whether you're doing them on that particular day or sometime that week. That's the way this typically works, is even though I'm putting specific day requirements on these things, I'm not actually checking them until the end of the week. Okay? So let's look a little bit at what we're doing this particular time. And let me get to the right screen here. This one. Okay. What we're looking at here is functions. A function is something that relates variables together. Okay. So we're relating two things together. Typically, one of the ways you can do that is with a graph. Okay. If you're looking at a graph of a function, there's a thing called a vertical line test. That means if I draw a vertical line like this, and it only touches the function in one spot, then it is a function. If it touches it in more than one spot, it's not a function. Okay? So let's look at just a couple of little hand-drawn things here. If I'm looking at a straight line like that, that's a function. Why is it a function? Because the vertical line test passed. Okay? Does that mean that all lines are functions? Well, all of them except one, and that's the vertical line. If you look at a vertical line, it doesn't pass the vertical line test. It touches many more times there. Okay? What about quadratic functions? Quadratic functions look like that. Quadratic functions only get touched by a vertical line in one spot. So they pass a functions test because they pass that vertical line test. Well, how about a third degree type thing? Well, it depends upon how bad of a third degree that we're looking at. If it's something like this, then the answer is no, because you can see I've crossed it in multiple spots there. The vertical line that I drew crossed that function in multiple spots. So it wouldn't be considered a function. Now, the other next topic that we're talking about in here is the domain and range. When we're talking about x and y as two variables, the domain is the x variables, and the range are the y variables. Okay? So they're talking in this lesson about the domain and the range of the variables. That means how far do they go out right and left? How far do they go up and down? Let me give you an example. Here's a line. A line is both a straight line, linear line, has both infinite domain and an infinite range. It covers almost every value. But if you look at the quadratic function here, the red one, it doesn't go below this point right here, does it? So it's, even though its domain might be infinite going right to left, its range never gets below this -3 that I think that's where that is right there. I'll just say it is. Okay? So I'm saying that the range in this particular case would have an ending value of -3. It might go all the way from infinity to -3, but it does have an ending value of -3. Cool? Okay. Last thing that they talk about is functional notation. One of the things you need to understand about functional notation, it is simply f of something. Okay, some variable, f of t, is equal to something. This is what separates an equation from a function. If you see f of t, that means it is a function, and you can deal with it that way. Okay, f of t function. What does this t represent? That means there's a variable somewhere in this equation. A variable t that this value t is then replaced with. If I wanted to stick the number 1 in for t, then I could just stick a 1 into this equation, and it would be 3 times 1 plus 6. Well, that's 9. I got that. Okay? If I wanted to stick t as equal to n plus 4, I could do that. What would I do? I would come over here and say 3 times n plus 4 squared plus 6. Well, then I got to remember my algebra and do that FOIL method on the n plus 4, multiply everything by 3, and then add 6 to it to get what the value is. But it's still a possible problem to do. So let's do this real quickly. N squared plus 8n plus 16. That's n plus 4 squared times 3 plus 6. Well, that'd be 3n squared plus 24n plus 16 times 3 would be 48 plus 6 would be 54. Ta-da! That's how easy it was to do. Okay? So I've shown you function, I've shown you range, I showed you domain, I showed you functional notation. Um, the problems do get a little bit hard, and it's a matter of at pre-cal I'm teaching you the basics and running over the basics of this stuff, but it is going to get difficult with some of these problems. If you get stuck on any of them, please talk to me about them. We will have Class Connects in which we can run through problems, and I am available to talk to you about some of the things that are going on. One of the things I would like you all to know is that the due dates on these things, we do have an ending date. It's about 28 days out. Okay, that means if a test is assigned for a particular day, 28 days from that Sunday, it will lock up and you cannot finish it. So you want to get it done before that 28-day mark. Okay. Other thing I want to make certain you're aware of, I have about 400 students total. I cannot keep track of all of them. I really need you when you're sending me instant messages and when you're sending me things, tell me what course you're in. Tell me what section number you're in. Both of those things are located at the top of the course when you're looking at it. So if you would tell me both of those things, it would help me a lot. Okay? For example, right up here at the top, you're in pre-cal class section number 1. And all you got to do is tell me that, and I'll know where you're at. Okay? Well, I went 12 minutes on this video. I'll try to make some of the others a lot shorter. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you later.